What's up, YouTube? It's your girl Latrina, and I am back again today with another tarot spread read. And starting right off, we do get the Seven of Cups. And it comes also with the message of the Witness, Seven of Cups. It does, in the traditional tarot, speak of delusions. So, and it also carries a message of the Witness. And it looks like this Witness, maybe we got the Widower card on top of the Witness, as well as the Toil and Labor. We got the Poverty card, and we got the Knight of Swords, which is the thoughtless, individuals or individual that, may have been in poverty when it came to whatever action that they did take. And this was an extreme action. This was like a headless, thoughtless action, something that wasn't thought through. It was just rushed upon. And then, it does show some people that, or whatever action, that was taken, either to prevent poverty, to come out of poverty, or to actually come out or to prevent poverty. Or maybe this action was to even keep someone in poverty. That there's three options to that poverty card. Because, like I said, we do get the Widower in the Toil and Labor. So it looks like someone took very fast, reckless, and thoughtless action towards keeping someone in poverty. And keeping them in a delusional state. There's been a disruption to those actions. This card represents the Tower in the traditional tarot. And it did come out in the reverse. So that means that they were not able to cause this disruption. With the fast action that they did take to keep someone delusional and in poverty. And they wanted someone to work alone, because we also get the Toil and Labor card. This was an extra. It was something that popped out on its own. And then with that Widower coming out, that tells me that someone wanted you to be alone without a spouse. And they wanted you in poverty. And they took some fast, reckless, and thoughtless actions towards, doing that. They worked upon it, keeping you in poverty and keeping you alone. This was worked upon as well. Whomever took this thoughtless action with this Knight of Swords, there was a witness to some of these actions. Someone is bearing witness to this situation. There's also been a disruption. Well, they could not cause a disruption, because see, this card did come in the reverse. So I was wondering, well, what is the description for it? But I can clearly see that they did there was either a person or a group that did try to work upon something, because we get this Toil and Labor. How did all these cards get flipped over? With all that, this fast action was worked upon to keep you in poverty and to try to make sure that you were delusional, in a delusional state, not clear, not rational, and in poverty. That does, make a person confused when they don't have any money, no resources and no finances. It can put you into a delusional state. But this was worked upon, you know. This was worked upon by some type of fast and reckless actions and some type of thoughtless actions, even. There may have been a witness to these actions because someone did not want you to have a partner, you know. Someone worked upon that, maybe by some things that were said, or, you know, there would have to be rumors and things that were said that, that they worked upon to keep you in poverty. Or maybe it's regarding, the judicial system, because in this next row, we do got the courthouse coming out, along with this house in the reverse. And this house has been coming out, quite a bit. And someone did not get a house in court because, you see, they were trying to keep a person in poverty. They were trying to keep you in poverty. Someone did not attain a house in court. That's what this second row is telling me, that they worked upon with these fast actions and thoughtless and even, careless, thoughtless. They did not get this house in court. That message is clear here in the second row. There must have been some type of decision made in the court, and they did not get this house, whatever type of house that they were speaking of. And then, because we do get the Ten of Wands also in that second row, this courthouse has put someone under extreme burden. Whoever this fake person is, because we get the cubic zirconia card and then the Six of Swords. So this person that's under heavy, heavy burdens and the weight of the world, they had to walk away from, this house and this work that they did to try to keep somebody in poverty and in delusional states, unsure. And it also, even this toil and labor, this heavy burden coming out with this Ten of Wands, maybe, it's got someone in conflict, mental conflict at that. It's got them pretty angry, type of mental conflict. Someone's angry that they couldn't keep you burdened. And then instead, it reversed upon them regarding this house and this courthouse. Whatever burdens that they tried to impose upon you, it's actually upon them, because it's got them in mental conflict that they had to walk away probably from this house, that they didn't attain this house in this courthouse. These three cards tell the story. They did not attain a house, which came out in the reverse. It's got someone in mental conflict, and this was a courthouse decision. This decision was made by the court, and they had to walk away from this. They had to, leave that behind, this house. And even these attempts at trying to make you, alone without a partner, because that's what a widower is. Maybe that they lost their partner, like due to a, death or something. But normally, it just speaks of alone, someone that doesn't have a partner or a spouse. That's what a widow is, someone that does not have a partner. Someone tried to keep you in poverty without a partner. And they wanted you working hard. And they also wanted you in delusional states. But it looks like there's been a witness to these things, which has caused a disruption to the whole matter. There's been a witness that did cause a disruption. On these plans. Or maybe there is a widower, that is in poverty because of something that they did work on. That could go both ways. Because I'm sure there's an easier way to explain someone trying to isolate you and keep you alone without a partner. But that does, give me a clear depiction of that. Someone wanted to see you alone. Because in this third row, we get the misfortune card coming out in the reverse. And along with the adjudication card, which, confirms that this issue was brought before the court and the decision was made by, the judicial system, which did give some group or some individual a misfortune when it came down to this adjudication because it did not go in their favor. They did not get this house at this courthouse. They didn't get a house at the courthouse. And it got them in mental conflict, which I can only imagine, when your expectations is just crushed regarding this adjudication. And, even, maybe this is coming out with this Eight of Pentacles. We got the red rum for hire card. So that does tell me that this adjudication, that was made regarding this house and this misfortune, it caused a misfortune, that this adjudication did not go in their favor. And maybe someone is free, from being red rum. Maybe they have not been caught up in that. Someone did not get caught up in this red rum because, see, this hangman comes out in the reverse. And when he's in the upright, he usually speaks of someone that is caught up. They're hung by the neck. But when this is in the reverse, it tells me that they weren't successfully able to catch you up by the neck. And it was because of this adjudication that did not go in their favor. And it may have something to do with the harmony, some harmony, some kind of way. There was maybe some individuals that were in harmony, at trying to take this house from this adjudication and this courthouse. There was someone that did, partner up because they got two people on this card. So there was a pair and they were in harmony. When we're talking about this adjudication, they were in harmony. But there's a misfortune that did come upon that harmony. It's a misfortune that did come upon this adjudication. And it's maybe because someone is not caught or either free. When I see that free card, it's a little ground shaking to me because my father was released. And so whatever this red rum for hire, they weren't able to catch you up into a snare trap. That can be a snare trap too, This hangman in the reverse, they weren't able to get you caught in that snare. Oh, and then yeah, this was worked on. Definitely, because we get that like twice. This murder for hire, red rum for hire was worked upon. They were in harmony about this. Attempts to take a house and attempts to even take your life and get you caught up. But that didn't happen because this hangman he does not have any restraint. He's free. This hangman is free in this card here. Whatever was worked on, it didn't even snare you. It didn't put you into a trap. They weren't successful in that because they did have a misfortune on the situation. There was a misfortune brought into it. And the misfortune was that the adjudication did not go in their favor. They did not get what they were hoping to do, which was attain this house through this court. They had to walk away from that situation, and that situation's been coming out repeatedly in the tarot messages that someone had to leave it to drop this matter when it's coming to this courthouse. They had to actually walk away from that because it's put them in mental conflict. See, that Six of Swords represents walking away. And they are in mental conflict about this. Whomever is trying to attain this house in the court. And whoever's trying to put you into poverty and keep themselves out of poverty. That whomever took this fast and reckless action, they had to walk away from it. Whatever was worked upon with this red rum. You just can't ignore that someone did hire someone to take you out. They hired someone to get you caught in a snare, like an animal trap. Like, how you would do something like that to trap a small animal or even, a larger one. That's what the hangman kind of represents, like an animal trap, a snare trap. I don't know the proper terms for that. When you do that, set them traps out there with the rope, and as soon as you touch it, it snaps on you. It captures you. It'll trap you in the rope, the very rope. Because you see, next we do have the misfortune card. On whatever pathway was taken, there was a misfortune on that pathway. And that card is clarified by that tower that came out. Where did that tower go? These cards, they get sucked up upon one. Here it is right here, misfortune and tower. On this pathway, this is what came, was this misfortune and a tower in the reverse. So, they worked on trying to prevent this tower from falling. Whatever structure they worked on this pathway, because the Page of Wands, this is the message, the messenger card. And then we get the Wheel of Fortune coming out on top of that Page of Wands, which just tells me that whatever side of karma that you are on, the Wheel of Fortune has come in upon this courthouse adjudication. There was no triumphant success. This does come out in the reverse. The triumphant card, which just tells me, and then there's a lie, That also speaks of a lie, because it's the Ace of Swords. So there was some lies told in the courthouse, and some people were in harmony about these lies. They spoke consistently. Their statements were the same. That whatever statements they made to this court, it's got them hung up. And they tried to get you in a snare, regardless of whatever it did to them. They really wanted to trap you like an animal. They tried to set an animal trap for you so that you could lose this house and so that you could be in mental conflict and have to walk away, but those actions turned around on them. It caused them to be in mental conflict because there was a witness. And I don't know if this witness is delusional, you know, or what, but the Wheel of Fortune came in with a message from the Page of Wands about a defeat. Oh, and about a lie, too. Something that was not successful. And this lie was not successful. That's what wasn't successful. Because karma came in the form of the Wheel of Fortune. It comes in as the Wheel of Fortune card and the Misfortune card. But this was in the reverse. Let me get it right. And I think this was straight. On this pathway, there has been a misfortune, and both of these was in the reverse. All of them got turned around somehow. But yeah, so misfortune on the fortune. But this one was upright. It was misfortune on the fortune because of karma. Regarding a pathway that some people were in harmony, their statements were in harmony, their testimonies, testimonies, they were all in harmony about that until this adjudication didn't go in their favor, regarding something that they worked and toiled and labored on. And they were in harmony, trying to get you into a snare trap. Because we do next have the Officer card coming out in that last row with expectation. And then, that Eight of Cups means walking away from an emotional situation. And I'm assuming this house will make somebody emotional if you have to walk away from it. Or they're walking into an emotional situation because it did come out in the reverse, regarding this identity theft, fraud, and false identification. Because when somebody asks you for an ID, that means you probably did give a wrong name, or that you're not, who you say you are when it's got that show me your ID. There's an officer that steps into the tarot spread, and he is in the upright. So maybe you can be expecting an officer to approach you, because when that Eight of Cups is walking towards you, this officer's walking towards you, and maybe he wants to see your ID, or maybe he wants to verify some things, regarding this court.